Falling is not a good idea.
I don't know if you remember this from high school, but remember when Mr. Nick was telling us to not lean back in our chairs, and I was leaning back in my chair and I fell the fuck over? Oh my god.
That was hilarious.
That was perfect timing. Mr. Nick said, that's a good example. I don't know what I said, but I think I may have said welcome.
Maybe. Alright, I'm gonna start the intro now. After I take a second. Hello everyone, my name is Plush. You might know me from different streaming stuff or whatever. This is sort of a experimental thing, so I don't have an exact name for it yet. But this is sort of like a video, and might be a channel that'll just be me chatting with either people online or with Fluffy here. So, or just by myself, who knows. But anyways, welcome to the channel or the video or whatever it ends up being. So again, today I have Fluffy. She is a good friend, girlfriend, and yeah, her name's Fluffy. She is very much into Flareons and big Pokemon fan. I'd say more so than I am, and if anyone knows me, that's a bit of a thing. So yeah, you got anything to add before we start?
No.
No? Okay. So, we didn't have much preparation for this episode. It's more impromptu, whatever. So, there were like a couple things in mind. She has some Henry Stickmin stuff she wanted to talk about. I was thinking about maybe talking about some Pokemon as well. And just kind of see where things go. So, I may as well start. You were mentioning that there was some sort of fan theory that...
Either I saw it somewhere or I just thought of it, but... In infiltrating the airship, when you see Rupert Price standing next to General Galeforce, I was trying to figure out originally why was he brought into this. But as I played the game more, it's like, what if Rupert was brought into this in case he managed to find Dave Pampa, his partner from escaping the prison?
May I make a counterpoint?
Go for it.
Rupert would already know Henry because of all the way back in escaping the prison, so he would be one of the few people that would actually know anything about anything about Henry outside of like just seeing him, because him and Dave both were the two that were assigned to his cell. So that could be a good reason as well. And the only reason Dave probably wasn't part of the army was because he was already taken by the Topak clan by that point.
Yeah, and he also wound up as a security guard because he got fired. Rupert quit. From what fans have said, Rupert quit to join the military.
I think that both of them probably got fired, but who knows? All we know is that both of them were no longer security guards police officers after that incident. It would be safe to assume that both got in trouble. Dave obviously more so because he was supposed to check the package.
And with Rupert, he technically he lost two partners. He lost Dave in escaping the prison and stealing the dime, and he lost his partner Johnny due to Henry chucking a rock at his head if you're doing intruder on a scooter.
That's only if you assume he dies.
I'm assuming he got a minimum badly injured from that, because in a high-speed car chase, being hit with a rock, flying at your head pretty hard, where your head is out a damn window, and you hit the freaking ground, I'm assuming you're gonna be hurt.
Most likely. I don't know, I've never tried it. You want to test it?
No.
Okay, good.
Because we need 3 people. We don't have a third body.
I could call Burnsy up right now. See what he's doing.
If you want to.
Hey Burnsy, you got anything going on this weekend? But when it comes to like Henry Stickmin theories, you know I don't really dive into that stuff as much as you do.
Yep.
So I guess I don't really have too much I could think of question-wise for stuff like that. I guess, what do you think is the weirdest theory that you've seen?
Some of the weirdest theories I've seen, since I delve into this a bit more, I think it's actually one I actually like, because it works for, like, a couple of endings in particular, but it would be that Terra Suave isn't really known in the Henry Stickmin community unless you're really delving into it like I have. But some fan theories state that since it's not known whether Henry Stickmin has a family or not, most people assume that Henry Stickmin is the abandoned son of Terrence Swab. And then for like the Top Hat ending, like Top Hat King or Top Hat for life, I can kind of see it, how Henry would surpass his father in Reginald.
And I know this, but for the audience, who is Terrence Swab?
Terrence Swab was the leader right before Reginald Copperbottom, the leader when you go into infiltrating the airship.
And why was he kicked out over Reginald?
Terrence Swab was dethroned as he was the worst leader in Top Hat history, and you're only going off of 2 bios, but it states that he was the worst leader and did dumb raids and heists just for fun, just for shits and giggles, for the thrills.
And if you think about it, that does kind of line up with how Henry acts. I mean, he steals rubies just because he sees something shiny.
Yep, and pure-blooded thief.
Yep. So, is there anything else Henry Stickmin that you would want to talk about, or should we move on to maybe some random Pokemon stuff?
I'd actually, I don't know. I still think the Terrence Swab theory is just kind of a
It could go either way.
Yeah, it really could, because we don't know if Henry still has family or not. Most fans just speculate this, but it only really works for Top Hat King or Top Hat for life. Maybe Revenge and possibly Top Hat Civil Warfare, because Top Hat Civil Warfare, from what we've read, Terrence Swab didn't care much for the rest of the clan and it was overthrown. So Henry abandoning someone kind of lines up with that, but Top Hat King lines up for the fact that he actually cares about the clan. Something a little different, but still ends up in the clan, like Terrence.
I guess my question is, how do you think the Top Hat clan managed to get themselves so big despite the government being after them?
I would have to assume they did it possibly in secret, or they started sneaking around or had high power weapons.
But also, you gotta remember, by the time of infiltrating the airship, they were big, well-known, the government was after them. And this is before the spaceship is built, unless you go by, like, one of the endings.
I'm not completely certain about that one, but I think he managed to just stay out of government area, either staying hidden or most likely moving around a ton to where you couldn't just pinpoint one location until they were building the orbital station, where pretty much the whole clan was in one area. But they may have also had like weapons, like guns, crap like that. There's all sorts of big, strong weapons to fight off the government.
And that would make sense. It's also shown that they're pretty rich.
Yeah. I mean, you see their treasure room in Jewel Baron, and you see a lot of things in there.
Mm-hmm.
But you also see it in Pure-Blooded Thief when they have just a room full of gold and then that big-ass ruby.
Mm-hmm. There's more than just gold in that room. There's also many artifacts. Some of them are references to different films and video games as well. So that also would make sense.
Yep. As well as also seeing what is supposed to be famous paintings in Pure-Blooded Thief when you go into the jewel room.
Mm-hmm.
And Pure-Blooded Thief kind of has two different... Oh yeah, no, I found a rumor from Revenged. The Revenged ending of Henry Stickmin.
Yeah.
This revolves around a Panther again. Like, say, if the government with Gale Force, Charles, and Rupert, them being brought in specifically, going in to check the Top Hat wreckage because they found out where they were, trying to take them down. But the government gets to the wreckage, and they see the whole thing is destroyed. Gale Force is going around trying to find survivors, most likely Top Hats to arrest. Charles goes into the forest following footprints, Henry footprints. Rupert goes into the jail cells and finds Dave, either dead or badly injured. Some fans lean towards dead due to the impact and nature of it, but seeing how bad it was. The only known survivors you see in the game are Reginald for a few moments and Henry before he goes up a hill and dies against a rock.
But what I'll point out with that ending, and this is all kind of speculation, so there's nothing confirmed. But with that ending specifically, there is the fact that those two were also in the very front when the airship impacted, which means they would be the most injured just purely because that's where most of the impact was, other than the bottom of the ship. The jail cells, if you play the airship map on Among Us, is towards the center of the airship, which means it would be most protected from any side. So, more likely than not, it would be that he would be badly injured, but likely still alive. And that would also mean that there would be some top hats that might be alive too, even if Reginald, Right Hand Man, and any top hat clan leaders at the time would be dead.
But you also have to remember, there were most likely, those top hats were not in the airship, were in the orbital station, and that thing got completely smashed.
Right, but not all of them would have been. After all, the airship is its own division, and they had to gather all the top hat members for the launch, 2 days before? And
Yeah, I believe so.
And with that in mind, Revenge doesn't take place right before launch. It takes place a while before, after the spaceship is made, but before the
10 hours after fleeing the complex.
Yep, and that would mean that many of the Top Hat members would still either be arriving on train or just not even have gotten on a train yet to get there. Which we know that for most of the endings, those are 2 days before launch, and that's usually a big thing too. At the same time, a lot of the timelines for when the endings happen is kind of wonky, because if you go by the fleeing the complex where you have Ellie and
Ghost Inmate.
not Ghost Inmate, the other
Convict
one.
Allies, Presumed Dead.
Convict Allies
Presumed-
and frick.
The Betrayed?
No. You can't do the Betrayed with Convict Allies.
Oh, yeah.
I'm saying Convict Allies, the one where Ellie and Henry ride up on a motorcycle and try to join the Top Hat clan.
Pure Blooded Thief.
Yes. So with that ending, we don't have an exact timeline of how much time is between them breaking out and when the raid is, but that is a very short amount of time too, for some reason. Even though in some endings it's days or even weeks, so it can be assumed that however long before and after the launch, it's not based on a set time, but instead it's just based on the ending itself. But who knows? I could just be talking out my ass right now.
I was just talking about fan theories.
Yeah.
Actually, I wanted to point out the possibility of Dave being dead in Revenge. I know I'm kind of backlashing this a
Yeah,
bit.
no, that's fine.
But when you see the impact, you see a lot of smoke. So the possibility smoke is filling the whole ship and getting into Dave's cell and he can't breathe. Because we don't know how well the ventilation is in there. I mean, it's probably good enough to keep Dave alive, but is it enough to remove that amount of smoke before he asphyxiates?
The only people that would be able to confirm or deny it is Puffball United themselves.
Yep. And all 16 endings are canon to the series. Well, 17 if you count the hidden ending.
There's actually a couple of hidden endings in the previous games, which could be considered canon as well, just because of that. Even though they don't lead up to an ending in completing the mission, they still can be canon in some form, which, if you know some of those endings, that's kind of ridiculous. Sword!
Yeah, the big old sword one is a pretty funny one.
Yep. Spoilers, by the way. Maybe I should put that at the start of the video. Just make an after edit.
Yeah, that would probably help out a little bit.
Maybe. I mean, we're just kind of talking about random stuff, and neither of us are exactly the best at being filtered about what we talk about, I feel like.
No, I don't have a filter. I gave up having a filter once I graduated high school. I had no filter after that, and I still don't have one. I still don't care to find one.
I sometimes filter myself, but that's because there's a lot of weird stuff. Let me tell
The
you.
only time I filter myself is around my niece and nephews.
Yeah, that's fair. Ah! I just bumped my arm on the desk.
Okay.
Anyways, I mentioned this to you, but Henry does appear in other games as a sort of reference. The most recent that I can think of, which again I mentioned to you today, is in Friday Night Funkin'. So for anyone that's watching, Friday Night Funkin' is a rhythm game that was made on Newgrounds. It's still kind of ongoing, updating, or whatever. In week 5 of the game, it takes place during Christmas in a mall. And you got a real interesting lineup of characters in the back, with probably the most well-known being Henry from the Henry Stickmin collection, Henry Stickmin series, whatever you want to call it. There are other characters too, but I can't remember them off the top of my head. But I figure that's sort of an interesting thing. And there are other games where Henry makes an appearance. I know that you were very interested in trying out Among Us at some point, and there's a few Henry Stickmin references in that game.
Yeah, and then you really see the biggest reference with the airship map, and it's based off of infiltrating the airship from the Stickmin collection.
Mm-hmm.
And if you see the trailer, you will hear Reginald Copperbottom's voice, with him as an Among Us character. And I have my own little Among Us with me. You just attached my purse and I'm too lazy to get up.
Side fun fact, all the voices done in the Henry Stickmin series is done by 3 people.
I've been told this, actually.
Yep.
And I think it's amazing. You hear so many accents out of people. Swedish, British, American. Then you have Ellie, who I believe does all the female voices.
Yeah, there's
And
there's one female in Puffballs United and 2 main male guys. From what I know, they're a little bit bigger now than just 3 people. I believe they might like contract work or something. But for the most part, Puffballs United is done by only 3 people, which they've done the Henry Stickmin collection and they've done Among Us, which are 2 very big games.
Henry Stickmin and Among Us have both died out a lot since last summer.
I think the big reason why Among Us started dying out is because everyone was waiting for the airship map,
And then it finally dropped this year on March 31st.
but by the time it dropped, there were other games such as Friday Night Funkin' that started taking over the popularity of the common gamer, and people started to move on from it. There are still people playing Among Us though, and I would be one of those people, but there was a bit of a weird thing on the day of the release of the airship that kind of made me have a distaste for the group. I know I didn't share this with you, but yeah, that means I probably won't be doing other Among Us things.
Yeah, I've been considering getting Among Us, but it's like, I don't think my laptop can handle it, and I don't really feel like putting it on my phone right now.
To be honest, the game doesn't take a lot to run. Your phone or your laptop probably could handle it.
But it struggles to handle Henry Stickmin, which is the big thing.
The other thing about it is that game is something that you need to have a dedicated group to do. And if you don't have a dedicated group, it's very hard to find a group that's fun to play with.
Yeah,
Otherwise,
most public lobbies are like, what, little kids throwing a fit because they don't get to be the imposter?
Sometimes. It's really hard to tell because Among Us itself doesn't have its own dedicated voice chat. Usually when you see YouTubers or anyone on Twitch chatting with other people online that are in the same lobby, they're doing it through a voice chat system such as TeamSpeak, Discord, whatever else there is. I don't really keep up that well. So that's another big thing is if you wanted to play like with other people in public lobbies, you don't have a voice chat. You just have the text chat that's only available in meetings, and you have a very high likeliness that you run into a public lobby that does have a few people that are in the Discord group who are working together without the other people in the lobby being able to really work things out.
I still would like to play it though. I'm still on the fence about if I want to put it on my phone or not. Because if I did, I'd probably buy the DLC Top Hat because I'm a big Top Hat fan for the Henry Stickmin collection. I kind of got big into it when I found this this blog. I think it's a Twitter blog or something, or it's no, it's a Tumblr blog where it's Ask the Top Hat, where it's the Top Hat clan one. Crap, I'm drawing a blank. Oh, it's Triple Top Hat threat, where it's an alternate universe where Henry Stickmin is Terrence Schwab's son. Spoilers for this, by the way, if no one knows about this. And he joins back up with the Top Hat clan, and this story takes place 2 years after the launch of the orbital station. But with this AU, it's the fact that Henry and Charles look around for the Top Hat clan, not just they have them in sight and Henry just has to go in. They spend time to communicate and bond. And with this story, it's Henry trying to convince Charles to join the Top Hat clan through it. And then crazy stuff happens where the government, this whole story takes place at least over a month from when Charles is captured to the end of the first arc, which is currently what is up right now. I've been following this a lot.
How about I'll find the link to the blog and put in the description once I do get to putting this video up so that people can check it out for themselves. And
Yep.
you definitely recommend it from the sounds of it?
Oh yeah, I definitely recommend it. It is amazing. They even have a little side plot where it shows the history, where you see the baby Henry Stickmin and you see what happens to him at the beginning of his life. And so you know what happened. You see Terrence Suave go down. But here's the crazier thing. This points out that since most fans believe Henry's around 28, possibly?
I'm not sure about that, but go on.
Yeah, some people believe Henry's around 28. So, pointing this out with, say, Reginald Copperbottom had taken down Terrence Suave, and in the story to the date, that means Henry would be 30. So, for 28 years, Reginald would have had to hold the leader of the Top Hat clan for 28 years. So, this kind of just points out Reginald's kind of old. Even if he's in his late teens, early 20s during this case scenario, he's still going to be in his mid to late 40s. He's going to be pretty old.
Well, I guess the other thing to kind of bring up about it is, like, obviously we don't really know how old Henry is. We can guess from, like, what he does. But I've always kind of... Voice is cracking, Jesus frick. I've always kind of assumed that he was somewhere in his early 20s, or maybe even just, like, the end of his teens. Because, or at least with Breaking the Bank, I always assumed that he was like just a very young adult and that he kind of ages throughout the games. So, like, I would make the assumption that maybe in Breaking the Bank he's like 19. He's breaking into the bank to try and, or into the vault, I guess, to try and get some money because he doesn't have a lot of money. He's still young, so he doesn't really think of the consequences too much. And so once he gets caught, he gets put in jail. We can assume that he's in there probably for like a month or two.
Yeah, actually, if you look at the background of the intro to Henry Stickmin, you can see chalk markings on the wall stating how many days he's been there. And for the most part, it's pretty much confirmed he was in there a month.
Point taken. So, that's about a month of time. He would probably still be 19 in escaping the prison. In stealing the diamond, we don't know how much time would be between those two, but
there is the fan theory with the multiverse package you see around the time of the launch of the orbital station. You see the orbital station get launched, but if you say, it's one of the choices where if you have all 16 endings, you can get the multiverse correctionals, and it points out exactly 1 year ago when Henry got the package for escaping the prison. It showed that from the package to the orbital station launch, 1 year has passed.
Which that actually does give a definitive timeline. That means a year and a month will have happened between the first game and the ending of the last game.
Correct.
Which means that, like, no matter how old he is, he's only about a year older by the end of it. And here's another thing that I could bring up. The cake that is brought to him in his jail cell, and I don't know if there's theories about this.
There is, trust me.
But could be a birthday cake. Which would also mean, hilariously, that the correction could have happened on his birthday.
Yep, and with the fan theory I've been following with the triple top hat, they're going back to this. It points out, spoilers for this, by the way.
It's fan stuff.
Yep, that Henry's mother was Terrence Suave's original right-hand lady. So when she left the clan with Henry, and then it shows later on in the fiction, at the very end of the first arc, it shows when you keep reading at the bottom, it shows that Henry Stickmin's mother is the leader of the CCC, which sends the cake. So maybe Henry's mother remembered his birthday and immediately caused this timeline, tried to correct the timeline, but only created this.
May I point out, though, that this is only fan theory and fan fiction.
Yeah,
this
fan
is something
speculation.
that there is no real basis in the main games.
Yep. There's also a fun fan theory with the Top Hat King ending that I've seen that I kind of think is funny.
Yeah?
That Henry caused Dave to lose both his jobs essentially. Because if you're doing just plain epic, and sneaky escapist, or sneaky escapist is what most people prefer to go for, then Henry got Dave fired from 2 jobs for negligence. So, with the ending of Top Hat King, most people believe that Dave is still held prisoner. So, the fan theory following the triple Top Hat thread again, because that's kind of my reference point for some of these fan theories, that Henry hired Dave to watch the brig up on the orbital station. I mean, you can't technically escape the orbital station easily unless you manage to find the escape pods. So Henry would have been giving Dave a job instead of getting him fired from one.
May I point out,
Go for it.
Dave was never, officially fired from the museum, though. He was fired from the prison, most likely. But with the museum, I kind of subscribe to a different fan theory, where before he could have been fired or anything, the Top Hat clan rolled in, and because the diamond wasn't there, either took down or captured whoever in security was there, trying to get to the ruby, but it was already gone.
Diamond.
The diamond. My bad.
Yeah, stealing the diamond.
My brain skipped a beat. But basically, there is a chance that he never was fired because of the fact that he may have been captured before anyone of his higher-ups really knew what happened with the diamond.
Yeah. Actually,
Sorry. But also, if you do Jewel Baron, you'll know that in the intro, the news report does say that the Top Hat clan is suspected for the robbery of the diamond, which could imply that they were there at some point to take the diamond.
Yeah, because when you see in completing the mission, Valiant Hero, when you get one of the fails where you try to go into one of the escape pods that you can't go into, you see Mayor Fredrickson from stealing the diamond in there. And it points out in his bio that he got kicked out of office because of plans with the Top Hat clan, if he is a part of it. And so some people, fans, theorized about this and saying that Mayor Fredrickson ratted him out to the Top Hat clan because he saw everything and he got him thrown in the brig.
What I'll also say is that if you played Infiltrating the Airship, he is one of the Top Hat members in that too, and it does mention that he was a mayor to the town and all that stuff as well. So there's a lot of theories that could go about that, but these theories could have started way back before completing the mission too.
Yeah, probably.
Especially with the fact that he was a Top Hat member immediately after the diamond was stolen.
Mm-hmm.
So, I guess we may as well go into Pokemon stuff.
Actually, I had one more thing I wanted to point out about Henry Stickmin with landing free man. How would Right Hand Man know? Because this will play off of Relentless Bounty Hunter. I always mix those two up. And then Ghost Inmate. How would Right Hand Man know where to grab Henry?
Henry probably just went home and Right Hand Man was just like, knock knock, bitch. Because Henry's not exactly smart.
I honestly had a funny theory. I don't think it's not canon, but I think it's a theory that Ellie managed to get out, figure out that he had pissed off the Top Hat clan, and ratted him out to where he would currently be.
Possibly.
It's a fan theory.
I just always assumed that Henry went to his house stupidly and Right Hand Man was like, knock knock, guess who? It's time to go up into space.
But here's the thing, Henry Stickmin had no idea where he was and was kind of shocked to see Right Hand Man and discovered that he had been captured and taken up to the orbital station.
Well, yeah, he was probably knocked out or asleep when it happened.
Yeah, but he also didn't realize where he was. He didn't realize the Top Hat clan had gone after him.
Right.
So, even if then, it was probably he was knocked out from behind and grabbed.
Likely.
But Top Hats can't go out in public in day. But there's also no specific time frame for how long they've been up in space.
Right. Well, I was going under the assumption that it would have been at night anyways.
Yep.
So, you got any other theories or things you want to talk about with Henry Stickmin?
There have been some crazy-ass AUs that you should be concerned of. They had this role swap AU, which I thought was funny as hell.
You know, I don't really keep up with AU stuff, not even in the fan stuff that I keep up with. So, this is stuff that is all you. AU, all you. But continue.
There was an alternate universe in AU where the roles are swapped, where Charles Calvin is the leader of the Top Hat clan. And it's pretty interesting to see that. I mean, Henry still plays the main role here, but you see Rupert and Dave as Top Hats, not police officers, so that's kind of interesting to me. I mean,
I feel like even if the roles were swapped, Dave would still be in some sort of cell. Like, even if he's part of the Top Hat, he would be someone that's already in, like, a government cell.
Yeah, probably. No, Dave. I'm sorry. I like Dave.
I know.
Most characters in the Henry Stickmin universe, like, say, Dave, it's kind of like a blank slate. You see him a few times, get a little character, but other than that, it's like a blank slate. Like with Rupert, I mean, a lot of fans love to say that in the ending of Triple Threat, afterwards, when Henry, quote-unquote, joins the government, as most fans believe, he and Ellie, Rupert and Henry still don't get along.
It would make sense, but there's not much.
But you also only see Rupert in one completing the mission, and even then he's just there for a quick, and then you don't see him anymore. And he's a pain in the ass to get the bio for. Because you only see him in a Master Bounty Hunter.
Master Brown.
Shut up.
Don't worry. I've slipped up words myself, but continue.
And then, so you see that Rupert still possibly hold the grudge for getting Dave fired and Johnny injured, most likely, due to the fact and like I said earlier, Henry threw a rock at Johnny and knocked him out of the car.
Was it Rupert that was in the police car?
Yeah, actually it was. You could tell by the voices and the bios.
I'll have to go back because I really didn't think about that because I didn't realize he was still a police officer in that game.
Yeah, he was still a police officer stealing the diamond. By infiltrating the airship, Dave and Rupert have gone completely diverging paths.
Well, I always thought that Rupert just didn't appear in stealing the diamond. I guess that's my bad if that is the case.
Yeah, no, you hear him go, "No, Johnny!"
Well, I didn't realize that was Rupert.
Yeah, I didn't realize. I realized it by the voices. But the primary way I could tell is, like I said, bios. Then I read through all the bios because some of the bios are cool as hell.
Yeah.
And I love that the collection you can read all the bios. Henry's bios are like, okay, these are short. You read through Dave, you see Dave go from a police officer to a security guard to a prisoner, and at the very end, it just points out his life's never going to be the same. And an afterthought of Top Hat Civil Warfare, like with Thomas, Jeffrey, Henry, and Dave in the desert.
Mm-hmm.
Some fans speculate that the government found the four and arrested them alongside Rupert Price.
That would be kind of interesting.
And there are two different fans. And there's one theory that I read about in a comic saying that Rupert would be pissed at Dave for something like this and not giving him a chance to explain. My theory is if that happened, Dave would at least get a chance to explain himself. Because he looked roughed up, unlike the other Top Hats. Like Rupert.
Well, that and also
Dave didn't have much of a choice.
Then also, Dave isn't a Top Hat. He's not wearing a Top Hat. If they were to be captured, it would be kind of weird to assume that he's a Top Hat when he's still wearing the security outfit from all the way back in Stealing the Diamond.
Yeah, and for the most part with the fan theories of this, his security cap is pretty tore up, and for the most part, fans draw Henry Stickmin characters kind of like humans, a little more humanoid, where they're actually just like wearing clothes and they're not just stick figures. So you see, his security outfit would be all torn and tattered.
See, this might just be me, but whenever I see art of the Henry Stickmin characters not as stick people, it's always so weird. Maybe that's just me, but like I always think like they look best in my opinion. This is an opinion, and this is my personal opinion. Don't get pissed off at my opinion. Personal opinion. I don't like seeing them when they're a bit more human because they always look better as stick figures, and it makes a lot of the jokes in the games make more sense. If you make them as humans, there's some of the jokes in the games that make 0 sense. That and also the fact that it leads to more sort of imagination on what they could be wearing.
Mm-hmm.
I guess.
I respect that opinion.
Speaking of clothes, though, I remember there being a theory that Henry doesn't wear anything except for shoes because of what he drops in one of the fails. In one that references Minecraft, what he drops is...
Triple Threat.
Triple threat.
Minecraft blocks.
He drops leather boots, and there was something else. I think a pickaxe.
A pickaxe and meat, I believe.
Yeah, which means that he only would have shoes on. So there is that theory to consider.
That's concerning, you butt naked.
And that's something that you can't really do if they're in human forms, because then you have to draw a naked guy, and, well, now you're on R34.
Yeah, when I see fan theories drawing Henry, they like to draw him in, like, a gray or a blue hoodie and sweatpants or jeans. That's usually what they go for. And Charles is wearing a pilot jacket. Ellie's just wearing, like, most fans vary with this. That's what Ellie wears. Some think she wears, like, a white tank top with a black undershirt and jeans. Okay, Jay.
Well, again, a lot of the differences on what people wear is speculation, because we don't have any real outfits. Any real outfits in the games other than hats, except for like the tall man jacket in that one fleeing the complex scene. Why are you messing with him? Just leave him be.
He's so fluffy. I can't help it.
But other than in fleeing the complex with the long jacket, I can't really think of too many other clothing that aren't hats or headwear that really appear in the games.
Other than Reginald Copperbottom wearing that S chain.
Well, even with the chain, that's not exactly clothing, that's just like a chain.
Also, I did figure something out about the Henry Stickmin game, that when you see the betrayed ending, when you're going through it, Henry doesn't have his top hat, nor does he have the chain. And the chain hanging on the back of Reginald's chair, the pilot chair, and not his neck. So it's led most fans to assume that when Henry took over as the Top Hat clan leader, that Reginald took the chain off and put it on his hat. That's what most fans believe, and it's pretty accurate, because you don't see him wearing it anymore at the end.
Right.
Rapidly promoted executive.
See, I don't have much opinion on it because I just don't really think about it often. KJ, well, you want to join in on the conversation?
Well, I don't have much of a life, so I usually get really big into the fan theories.
I mean, you have a life, you have a job. So I wouldn't say that.
Yeah, I work too damn much, and when I come home, I just play on my phone. Or play Henry Stickmin on my own laptop.
Or on the weekends, you might come over here.
Yep. And
or
then
you
play
Pokemon here. Sometimes. Or you go on walks.
Yes.
Like, you do more in your free time than I do.
Yeah, most of my free time is just me lazing around. You're just catching me on a day off, which was still funny to me, because when you found me on the side of the road one day when I was playing Pokemon Go.
Oh, yeah. For anyone that doesn't know, we live in sort of a middle-sized town, I guess. Sort of a bigger town, mini city, whatever.
We live between between a major city and a big city. We're like right in the middle.
Well, we already said Monroe.
Yeah, we live between Detroit and Toledo.
Yeah. And trust me, no one's going to find out where you live just based on the fact that you're in Monroe. Because Monroe is still big enough to where people aren't going to just find you randomly. Except for me, apparently. Because what was happening was I was on my way to my parents, I believe.
Yeah, after paying a bill or something like that.
Basically, I dropped off something to the post office. Man, I cannot talk.
Post office.
Yeah, I was dropping something off to the post office, and that's in downtown. And so I had to go across town to get to where my parents live. And Fluffy here was roaming around doing Pokemon Go, and I was just like, oh, I'm going to pull up and just be like, hey, you want some free candy?
Yeah, no, I walked over to his car and it's like, oh, hey, I had to let my dad know that I was going, I had to text Dad going, hey, I'm hanging out with Kyle for a while.
Yeah, it was unexpected, but definitely still It
was enjoyable. We had to spend a few minutes together.
Yep.
While he was doing one thing, I was ordering more Flareons.
She has too many Flareon plushies. Or at least I think too many. Oh, she's going to show them.
I packed my newest one.
For context, her room, we don't live together. She does still live with her parents. And I live sort of on my own. But her room has like some shelving where it's just Flareon plushes. I mean, I have
two Lego kits. I got 2 Lego kits.
Well, I mean, my room, I have some shelves that have various different plushies. but mine are varied. Hers is all Flareon. It's all Flareon. Go into space. Wait, it was all Flareon? Always was.
Yep.
And that's her room, basically.
And Legos. It's Flareons and Legos. I'm big into Ninjago.
I'm surprised that...
I did see the season 15 finale, and yes, I was sobbing all weekend.
Yeah, she's a
You wanna
Ninjago fan. I don't have much investment in it. I
Not
watched...
much investment, like, after season 3. I've been into it since, like, what, season 4?
I mean, something like that. Because I know as a kid, I remember watching it when it first came out. And watched it for a while. And then it turned out one of the members was a robot and...
Nindroid.
A Nindroid. And I just sort of lost interest after, like, a few more episodes because it just got too weird at the moment for me.
Dude, that sounds like season 1.
It might have been season 1. But I remember bits and pieces from other seasons because I think I did still check in once in a while before totally
I think
losing
Prime
interest.
Empire would have been your season, though.
Prime
Season 12.
Empire?
Prime
Really?
Empire is season 12, actually. It's a video game-based season. It was freaking awesome.
I think you told me about that one.
Yeah. And the most recent one was Seabound.
What season number is that?
15, I believe. There's no actual number for it. They stopped numbering the seasons after season 9, I think, after Hunted.
To be fair, I haven't watched any sort of like TV stuff except for with my parents ever since I want to say college back in 2016. Because most of the time,
I don't watch TV, I just watch YouTube.
well, even with YouTube, I don't really watch series and stuff unless it's like individual YouTubers. So when it comes to something like Ninjago, that's something that's way off my radar by now because I just don't really invest in that kind of stuff anymore.
And if you ever wanted to, I've got seasons 1 through 8 on DVD.
We might need to binge it after watching Zootopia again. It's been like, what, 5 years since we've seen it?
Yeah, you and I went and go see that shit in theater, and it was really good.
Mm-hmm. And then we watched it again when there was a home release.
Yep. And I have both Lego movies on DVD.
I have Inception on DVD, still haven't taken that out of the package.
I have both Lego movies, and then all the Lego movies, like Lego Batman, Lego Ninjago, the movie. I prefer the TV series, but I think the design remake they did from the movie to season 8, I think was silly. Because why the heck would a fan from the Ninjago movie just jump right into season 8? You gotta watch the first 7 seasons, the pilot episodes, and then Day of the Departed.
That's probably why it's hard to get into the series, is because there's so much to catch up on to know what's going on.
Yeah, Hand the Time, season 7 is my personal favorite. And they finally had a short kind of bridging between season 7 and 8 that finally explained a lot. And we've been wanting this since 2017, the fans. And I can speak for Ninjago when you say most fans want to know what happened to the villains in season 7, the Time Twins. What happens to Wu? And now we know.
Except for me, because I lost track of the seasons in the series way back when.
Yeah, I kind of just got into it. I've got a bad habit of getting obsessed with one thing and just not letting it go.
It happens. I'd say, if anything, the only real movie-ish kind of series that I keep up with is like the Marvel stuff. So, for me, which I know you haven't seen any of this, but the stuff that I've kept up with that's TV show-like are like WandaVision, Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Loki is going to come out sometime in the near future. It might already be out by the time this is made, but point still stands. So, me and my parents watch that all the time because, my dad's the big comic book person. My mom is a fan of it because of my dad, and I'm here like, yes.
And then I'm here like, I don't really watch anything. I used to be big on Sonic the Hedgehog as a kid.
Mm-hmm.
Then I grew out of that. Then I got into Pokemon, and that's currently been my obsession with video games since, probably way back in. Probably, maybe beginning of high school, actually, freshman year.
It's kind of funny how you're the person that was obsessed with Sonic, yet I'm somehow the one that became the furry.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, back when I was a kid, Tails the Fox was my favorite character. Then
Tails is a cool character, though.
Then Sonic 06 rolled around, and believe it or not, Silver the Hedgehog became my favorite character. Up until Sonic Rush Adventure came out, then it became probably the most random-ass side character who played a role in this one in the Sonic Rush adventure and has only been mentioned in Sonic Colors if you get the 3DS if you get the 3DS version or DS version, one of the two, and you do the side quest, Maureen the raccoon. You actually don't see her anymore.
I remember I've heard of Maureen.
Yeah, she's kind of my favorite character. I freaking love her, and I don't know why. Like I said, only one game and then one mention.
I mean, she probably has a bit of more relevance in stuff like the comics.
No.
No?
No.
Huh.
I think she was in maybe one comic, I think. I tried to keep up with the Sonic comics, but then I just got bored of them.
To be fair, there's a lot of Sonic comics from the people that made, like, Archie and whatnot.
Yep.
That series ran for, like, what, like 30 years or something?
Yeah, probably.
It was a long-running series either way. It might not have been 30 years, but it ran basically from the start of Sonic to, like, I want to say it was around 2016, because I remember seeing that they were ending the series, and I was like, what? Really? I thought they were only going to end it once, like, Sonic entirely was dead, and they're still making games, so...
I don't even know what the most recent Sonic game was. I know about Sonic Forces.
I think Sonic Forces and Sonic Mania were the most recent releases. And those are, not like the PS5 and Series X, but basically the most recent consoles before that. Because, like, I have Sonic Mania on the Switch, and I have not played that game much.
Actually, one of my favorite games for Sonic was Sonic and the Black Knight.
That's a very divisive game.
I played through the entirety of the story from beginning to end, not completing the side missions and shit, just like the main storyline. From beginning all the way to the very, very end, like final boss end. In about 3 hours. Actually, a little less than 3 hours.
A lot of people actually didn't like the game because of the fact that it wasn't really much of a Sonic game as much as a game with Sonic in it.
Yeah, I kind of thought it was fun though. The Sonic Storybook games, I think there were only like 2. Sonic and the Secret Ring, which I despise with a passion. That game sucked. I'm sorry, I couldn't play it to save my life. They had the villain Eraser Jin, but it's like the only Jin I think is cool is Nauticon the Jin from Skybound. Which, fun fact, Skybound and Seabound are both seasons in Ninjago. 6 and then 15. Seabound was heartbreaking. I cried the whole weekend.
And you didn't even come to me for support?
I had to work that weekend. What? Bowie.
It's okay.
It was Friday when the episode aired, and trust me, I was bawling my eyes out. I couldn't breathe. I was crying so hard. Kitty.
You know what's interesting is, like, I'm not exactly someone that shows emotion that well. And I can't think of too many times that I've cried. At least when it comes to, like, video games, movies, whatnot. I think I only remember, 3 things I have? One of them being Pokemon Mystery Dungeon Explorers of Sky, which I know you haven't been able to get into the Mystery Dungeon series.
I think I saw the ending of that on YouTube and I cried a bit. I'm a sissy.
Well,
I'm an outright sissy, trust me. I am a sissy.
Well, trust me, if you play through the game, that attachment it makes it a whole lot worse.
Valiant Hero. Oh, God.
To be fair, I was not invested enough into the Henry Stickmin characters to cry at that. Like, sure, it was sad seeing Charles go boom.
Yeah.
But
most people think it's so sad just because of the shock factor, unless you've been playing the series for so long, like Markiplier. He was pretty heartbroken.
Oh, he was definitely heartbroken. I remember seeing that video specifically before I actually played the game.
I think I may have watched it. I don't remember if I did. You got me hooked on Henry Stickmin, and now it's like I'm obsessed with it.
Yeah, it's my fault that she's the Henry Stickmin obsessed person she is now.
Yes.
So for the story, for anyone that doesn't know, and this is very late into this podcast, despite the fact that we've been talking about Henry Stickmin for a majority of it, I introduced her to the Henry Stickmin collection last year, actually. While I've always kind of known that the Henry Stickmin games existed, most of my experience with them was through the Markiplier videos from way back in 2015, I want to say. Basically back when I was in high school and she was in high school. When it was still, like, fleeing the complex as the last one. At the time, I thought it was cool, but I didn't really think about it too much. But then one day in 2020, I remember seeing Markiplier upload completing the mission, and I was like, why am I being recommended Breaking the Bank again? And then I realized that no, there's actually just a new Henry Stickmin game. And so I checked it out and was like, oh, hey.
The Henry Stickmin collection, which the Henry Stickmin story, even from its inception to Fling the Complex originally, from what I'm getting at, it followed a storyline.
Sort of.
Yeah, like, you see...
It was a loose storyline until completing the mission.
Yep.
Which is why there's the multiple endings in completing the mission.
16.
Yep.
Fun fact, most people like to say the Top Hat Civil Warfare is the anti-triple threat. Because the triple threat, Henry, Ellie, and Charles, work together as a team. Top Hat Civil Warfare, they all just want to kill each other.
I think that you did mention that. Either that or you mentioned that to me while we were out to dinner.
Yeah, probably out to dinner.
I don't remember. But what I was getting at is... So I watched the Markiplier videos, thought, yeah, I would like to support Puffballs. And then bought the game and played through, I think I played through most of it. And then, like, reset my stats. And then Fluffy came over and I was like, hey, voice crack. Hey, you should check this out. And then she has been hooked so deeply into its sense that she knows every single minute detail and every other fan theory out there.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
Most people like to call it, when you get the choices, most people like to call it the retry ability. Yep.
Where does the retry ability come from?
Beats me. Well, actually, the fan theory from Triple Top Hat Threat, dear God, we're going back to this again, is that it was originally chaos powered that originated in Terran Suave. That, like I said, still fan theory, still going off the Triple Top Hat Tumblr I've been following. And it goes off of the fact that when Henry was born, the chaos energy was split where Terrans couldn't wield it anymore. And then Terrans would.
So what you're saying
that
is
the
that...
retry ability is essentially just chaos power, giving Henry the option and showing him that if it's not the correct answer, it's a fail.
So basically, he is a user of chaos magic and is considered to be a Scarlet Witch.
I'm going to assume that's correct. I don't know what the hell Scarlet Witch is. Don't try me.
I'm making reference to something else, but...
Get out.
But, yeah, I guess that's possible, but at the same time,
Okay.
again, fan theory.
Yep.
We don't know anything about it. For all we know, it could just be, we see multiple different timelines where Henry just dies.
Yep, pretty much. Honestly, going off of I know this is probably my own fan theory, or someone else thought of it, I don't know. But with how the endings line up in Henry Stickmin, not going off the multiverse correctional thing that just happens, it just happens without needing the extra section in the Top Hat for Life ending, seeing Revenged at the very end of the list, some people think it's just because there's only 3 choices, 3 times you get to pick. But that in the Revenged ending, Henry completely dies. No ifs, no ands, no buts. He does not get to restart. He does not get to retry.
Well, here's my thing about it. We don't know if the timelines are happening one after the other or if they're happening at the same time.
That's actually another fun fan theory.
What I will say is that I think they are happening at the same time, not one at a time. Meaning Revenge doesn't influence, like his death in that wouldn't influence the other timelines. And my reasoning for this is because of one of the fails in both Top Hat Civil War and in... I don't think it's it might be Jewel Baron. Basically, in Top Hat Civil War, one of the options you get is save state. This is a reference to how emulators have different save states you can do at any time.
Oh yeah.
Which then,
no, that's Jewel Baron.
Which then Ellie shoots him in the leg or the dick or whatever it was.
Knee.
In the knee. And he falls off. If you then go to Jewel Baron, while Henry's in space with the ruby and...
Emerald.
I'm mixing things up, don't mind me. When he's in space with the Emerald and Reginald is about to have Supreme Dominance fire on him, one of your options is load state. Now, if you didn't save state in the previous ending, what'll happen is just you'll loop back to retrying the scenario without any sort of fail. But if you did save state, clicking load state will then have you go to the
Top Hat Civil War.
yeah, back to Top Hat Civil War.
Him.
Yeah, which that kind of implies that those two might be two different like timelines going on at the same time.
That's a fair point. Actually, there's a fun fan. Actually, there's something I've been thinking about with the Henry Stickmin and Ghost Inmate, where it says Ellie abandoned, and it points out Ellie will remember that. You only see Ellie seek revenge in Top Hat Civil Warfare.
Yeah, she's...
In the other three endings, like Jewel Baron, Free Man, and Clean Them Out, I believe it is.
Clean Them Out is terrible.
Yeah, Clean Them Out sucked. I'm sorry. It just sucked. Ellie doesn't go after him, but I think it's because in Capital Gains at the beginning, or actually when you do either Top Hat recruits or Pardon Pals, you hear that Ellie points out she knows about the Top Hat clan. So with Henry and the government, she wouldn't know, but with the Top Hat clan, she probably would have heard about it while she's at the wall.
But the question is does she know about the Top Hat clan because of the fact that she was part of it, or because she was just someone hurt by them, or just because they're a group that she knows but was never really
someone she
associated
heard
with.
about from what it pointed out in the beginning of Capital Gains.
May I also point out that the Top Hat clan doesn't seem to know Ellie at all.
Exactly. So Ellie, and it pointed out at the beginning of, like I said, Capital Gains, she heard about them while she was getting locked up at the wall.
Mm-hmm.
So she most likely heard about it through, most likely, the grapevine.
But who is the grapevine?
That's honestly a fan theory I haven't heard about yet.
I actually do have a theory. There is that one wizard guy. I don't know much about him, but there is that one wizard guy in the wall. And he's someone that also pops up as one of the bounties for Master Bounty Hunt.
Oh, yeah.
There is a chance that, even though he doesn't have a top hat, he probably would know something about the Top Hat clan.
Or it's because they're at the wall and the Top Hat clan is a criminal organization.
True.
And they're probably trying to bring them down. As well as they also have someone undercover, where you see in The Betrayed, you see the man undercover. So
True.
maybe he was talking about it. You never know.
Who knows? He definitely was a bad undercover member, for sure. So he could have definitely been just randomly talking about the Top Hat clan and not realizing he was very close to blowing his cover before he just outright blew his cover.
Yep.
Who knows? I think the funniest thing about that ending is just the fact that you don't even see anything happen to either him or Henry. It's just that his cover's blown, and that's how it fails.
Yep, pretty much. I've also read about, because I'm on a Henry Stickmin Among Us group on Facebook, apparently, from what I've been able to read up on, that Sven Svensson, who was created for the Stickmin collection, because you don't see him anywhere else other than the collection, that Sven Svensson is actually the creator's favorite due to his Swedish heritage.
I don't have too much opinion on that because I didn't really know about this fact until Fluffy brought that up during dinner. And my only thought was, I'm surprised it's not like Henry, Charles, or Ellie. I would have expected like Ellie or maybe even Charles to be the favorite for Puffballs United.
No, Charles is the favorite among the fans.
Right. But even then, he does get a lot of favorable moments in the games. And that would be just, like, assumingly because the developers themselves also like him. That's why I was kind of surprised when you mentioned that Sven is the most well-liked by Puffballs, because that just sounds weird to me.
Yep.
I don't know. Maybe that's just me.
It was probably...
Okay, bye, KJ.
It was probably the favorite from completing the mission, but you also have to realize there's like probably damn near 100 minimum added characters for completing the mission.
True.
So being the favorite out of that one's actually pretty cool.
Mm-hmm. You gotta also think, like, there's a lot of characters that appear in the prayer that appeared in the prior. Don't worry about it. He can look at the whatever he's looking at.
He looks like he wants to pounce.
I wonder what he's looking at. Is there like another cat?
It's a bird.
Okay.
That's why I sit back down.
Anyways,
You want to talk about Pokemon stuff too, or are we still?
we can talk about Pokemon stuff. What did you have something in mind, or should I talk first?
You first.
Well, we both have sort of different starts to the Pokemon franchise, don't we?
Yep.
So my start in it was more on the anime, actually, originally, because I remember growing up watching the first few seasons from like the original Kanto run all the way up to Johto. And then I remember playing the games for Fire Red and Emerald on the Game Boy Advance.
Actually, I think that's where I got my start in liking the series, and then I just started playing Diamond and Pearl. That's where my start got.
My start technically was in Fire Red, but Diamond, Pearl, and Platinum were the three that I played the most, especially Diamond. And it's because of that Dialga is my favorite.
Dialga's my favorite because, well, I like Diamond. It was my first game, and also it's the cooler looking legendary. I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah.
Palkia looks like a Venus. That's what a lot of fans love to say. That's what he looks like.
Like a Venus.
Venus. God damn it. I will fake the Flareon on you. No? No,
In honesty, like, other than Lucario and Riolu, yeah, Dialga is my favorite Pokemon. The main thing with Diamond that I remember liking better than Fire Red or Emerald was just that I liked a lot of the Pokemon a lot better. Which, this is definitely a hot take that's gonna piss people off.
Oh, God.
But, like, I don't hate that ain't really that many Kanto Pokemon, but there's also not too many that I really love. I like Squirtle and his evolution line, Charmander and his evolution line. I'm not too big on Bulbasaur. I know you love Bulbasaur.
Only starter I really use in Fire Red and Leaf Green because it's the best starter going off of the technicalities. For the first three gyms, you have the Rock Gym, which is weak to grass, the Water Gym, which is weak to grass, and then the Electric Gym where grass is resistant to it. So.
Right, but I was never that type of person that went off of resistance. I'm like, yes, that Pokemon looks cool. And it's because of that a lot of Kanto Pokemon just kind of fall flat for me. Like, Geodude, sure. Flareon, yeah, I like it. Vaporeon was always a favorite of mine because that's probably my favorite, like, evolution to this day. And for some reason, even though my favorite color is green, it seems like when it comes to Pokemon, I like a lot of blue Pokemon. And to be fair, there's not that many good blue Pokemon in, like, Kanto other than, like, Squirtle's line. You got Vaporeon, Lapras. I'm not even too big on Gyarados. Gyarados is cool, but...
Gyarados is a physical attacker, and in Gens 1 through 3, all water-type moves were special, and it's like, yeah, that's not working.
Well,
I mean, I'm also playing
that's not
Pokemon,
my point.
Yeah, I'm also playing Pokemon as an adult, not a kid.
I'm playing Pokemon like a kid.
I play them a little bit more like an adult, because I'm a nerd.
I think the other thing I should point out is one reason why I like Diamond the best is because I have a lot more experience when it comes to the multiplayer side with that game. Because I never had a link cable as a kid, so me and Burnsy never really did any trading on the Game Boy games. But then the DS came around, and you know that thing was wireless, so me and Burnsy and some of my other cousins would always like trade or battle or whatever, and I always was the person that got unlucky and got critical hit and all that stuff in that game. But I still loved that game, especially for things like the Underground and just everything about that.
The Underground is fun. That's usually where I wind up getting a Firestone half the time, because I want a Flareon before the third gym. And, well, I play Platinum, though. I don't play Diamond or Pearl as much. I play Platinum because, well, first of all, you get a much better variety, because in Diamond and Pearl, you only got 2 fire type options, and if you don't get the fire type starter,
Ponyta.
yeah, other than that, you're not getting a fire type unless you're trying to get fire coverage on a Pokemon, and I don't know what mons get fire coverage other than maybe Fire Punch on a Medicham.
Lopunny might be able to learn a fire type. Like
Actually, I know in Generation 7, in Sun and Moon and Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon, I had a pretty varied Lopunny who had Fire Punch, Thunder Punch, Ice Punch, and I believe I had either Return or Jump Kick.
One of the two.
Probably Return, though. Return's kind of busted on a Lopunny. You getting that stab with a max attack, with the max friendship? I'm gonna take someone out with me.
One thing that's actually kind of funny to me about like Diamond and Pearl being like my favorite series is that is the series that I played the most, and then after that I played a little bit of White, let Burnsy borrow it, and then proceeded to not really play any Pokemon after that. Like other than the mystery dungeons, but I remember way back as a kid when the 3DS was still new and X and Y was coming out, I wanted to get those games. But
I did.
as Fluffy knows, I didn't get a 3DS type of, like, or, bleh, I didn't get a 3DS or anything that plays 3DS games until the Switch was already out.
Yep.
So.
And I pretty much got one game from each generation from 3 up. I've got Fire Red, Leaf Green, I've got Ruby,
Mm-hmm.
then I've got Diamond, Pearl, Platinum, Heart, Gold, I've got White, White 2, Pokemon X, I've got Omega Ruby, and then I've got Sun and Ultra Sun. Then I have Let's Go Pikachu and Let's Go Eevee. Let's Go Pikachu is my shiny hunting one. He and I actually got me a shiny Caterpie on Christmas last year.
Mm-hmm.
Then I traded him an Articuno on Pokemon Go, and you got a damn 4-star. Oh, bullshit.
My point that I was going to go to, though, is that for me, my knowledge and investment in the Pokemon series dipped for a while, and for me, that was when I started playing things like Call of Duty, Grand Theft Auto, Minecraft, which I still play like Minecraft all the time, and Grand Theft Auto I want to play. But like I started playing other games and really didn't think about Pokemon too much outside of like liking Pokemon themselves up until the Switch came out.
Yep.
Which
And then he and I both have Let's Go Pikachu.
Yep.
I've got both.
I have
copies
Let's Go
of-
Eevee.
Yeah, I've got both.
My favorite story with Let's Go is actually with Burnsy, the first time we played Let's Go. Because this was when Burnsy was living at our grandpa's house. And so he has the Switch as well. And he got Let's Go Pikachu before I really looked into Let's Go too much. And so he was trying it out while I was over, and I just kind of had the other controller, and I was like, I'll just kind of shake it around, whatever. I shake it, and then suddenly a female version of this person drops from the sky, and we're just both like, what the frick? We didn't know that Let's Go had 2-player capability, Al, so everything that happened with the 2-player in that game was a complete surprise to both of us, and was friggin' hilarious. Because after that, we basically went into catching a Pokemon and see what happens. Saw that there were 2 Pokeballs. We both threw at the same time, and it did the move that we called the "fuck you, you're getting in the ball" move. Because it is literally the balls connect and clamp down on the Pokemon. And it was just friggin' hilarious with how it went. And then we found out that having both controllers on means you basically do a double battle even in singles, and it made the game like friggin' easy and hilarious. Oh, you want to fight us with this level 4 Caterpie? Screw you, we're throwing 2 Pokemon.
Yeah,
It was-
the 2-player thing is kind of busted because, like I said,
Yeah.
2v1 is kind of cheating.
A lot of people in the Pokemon community are still torn over Let's Go, but my main point is that for me at least, I really enjoyed the game because of how outright ridiculous some of the stuff that happened when me and Burnsy played it, and then later when I played it happened. And to be fair, Let's Go did have a lot of revolutionary things despite how short, easy, and lacking in post-game it had. the Pokemon being in the overworld, being able to be seen, and even being able to see shinies in the overworld.
And them following you, but they also had Pokemon following you in Gen 4.
Well, my point was that all the stuff that I'm mentioning, those were new. Especially Pokemon being in the overworld. That's something that we only have seen since with Sword and Shield, and even with Sword and Shield...
You don't see the shiny.
Yeah, and that's sort of weird when you think about it, because how was Let's Go able to do that just fine, but Sword and Shield not able to?
I'm thinking that it was probably just because Sword and Shield?
Sword and Shield was rushed. That's my opinion.
The Sword and Shield was working on with a bigger deck, so it may have been half of the main deck, but it's still more than double the Kanto decks, even when you add Meltan and Melmetal.
The problem with that
and
theory...
it was also to tie into Pokemon Go.
The problem with the theory, though, for Sword and Shield is that Sword and Shield still uses the same models and textures as all the 3DS games and Let's Go. Except for, the partner Pikachu and Eevee being a bit different. But them having the Pokemon in the overworld, there should have been no problem for them to add some sort of variable to where if shiny, display this texture instead. Especially since they were missing tons of Pokemon when the game originally released.
Yeah, and then you have
the cat is scratching himself, don't mind it.
Then you have both DLCs, and the DLCs were actually really nice. You have your...
A lot of people don't like the DLCs.
I thought they were fun. I'm just happy I could catch a Rockruff and a Shinx. If I can get a Rockruff and a Shinx early on in the game, I'm pretty freaking happy.
But that's the thing, is something like being able to have these Pokemon early in the game should have been in the base game. And that's a lot of people's problems with the DLC, is that now you're paying extra money to be able to play a post-game part of the game that should have been in the base game when Sword and Shield is debated to have a very lackluster main story, post-game, and all that stuff.
I don't think I've ever really gotten into the post-game too much, because...
Okay, spoiler for you. The post-game only has one storyline about two guys with ridiculous hair.
Oh yeah, I know that. I did that, and...
That's all there is to the post-game, unless you buy DLC.
Yeah, I know I'm speaking for myself and maybe a couple other people here, but I thought the DLC was worth it, because I got the storyline, then you can actually go to the DLCs whenever you want in the game and get Pokemon whenever you want.
See, it's worth it for you, but my point is, it should have been in the main game. Mm-hmm. They shouldn't have made it paid DLC. They shouldn't have made it something that you have to buy separately to get. Because I do understand that some of the defense I've seen for the DLC is that, now you don't need to get a third version of the game, something like Platinum or Emerald or any of that stuff. But the reason why those games came out with the third versions of their games was because you couldn't update a Grand Theft Auto, a Game Boy Advance game in any way. You literally would, even a DS game, even 3DS you could sort of update, but notice with the 3DS they never released a third version for any of the main games. You had X and Y, there was Z planned, but they canceled it. You had Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire, they were remakes, and no remakes have had their third version released, so that's fair. And then Sun and Moon had the black and white treatment of having Ultra Sun, Ultra Moon.
And Black and White had Black 2 and White 2, which I admit, not very original.
A lot of people liked it, a lot of people didn't like it. My main thing with what I'm saying, though, is that all these games were already starting to not really do third versions. So anyone making that, comparison of, they are doing paid DLC to not have the third version of the game, we're in a generation where updates are available. You can download a patch that'll add stuff to the game. You don't need to pay for it in some games. One point that I'm going to bring up, which is a game that you haven't played, is Grand Theft Auto 5 and Grand Theft Auto Online. This is a game that you pay for the game, and any updates on the multiplayer is free. Sure, there is the fact that you can buy the in-game money, but my point is that for that game, you don't have to pay for more of the features that are coming out in the game. Maybe that's just my opinion. Maybe I'm like a boomer or something.
I know some people who are talking about the Diamond and Pearl remakes hope they have the Platinum deck, which I'm completely on board with. And for some of the location-based evolutions they have in Diamond and Pearl, like, say, Magnemite, Leafeon, Glaceon. I mean, Leafeon is not a big issue. You can just go to the Mossy Rock, but with Glaceon, you're waiting till damn near the end of the game. You're waiting till the 7th gym, when you could use an Ice type earlier on in the game. Like, even if you get the EV, say, after the 2nd gym, you could still use, like, an Ice Stone with the using Sword and Shield, which a lot of fans liked, how you can evolve an EV into a Glaceon or a Leafeon. And you're not waiting until the end of the game. You can just get the stone and evolve it.
Usually these stones, though, are made because they don't put a Mossy Stone or Icy Stone in Sword and Shield. They just need some way to make the evolutions, and so they just sort of like, just take a piece of rock. And I don't know how...
Because they also could, in Pokemon Sun and Moon and Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon, you couldn't evolve an Eevee into a Glaceon until you were in Victory Road. And that pissed me off more than anything, because, like, I want a Glaceon now. I don't want to wait till the end of the game. When you've had to battle bosses, everyone, it's not like you're going to go, okay, I'm at the end of the game, I'm going to go get a level 15, maybe 20 Eevee and evolve it and then train it up 40 freaking levels.
Yeah,
30 to 40 levels.
Just keep an Eevee that long, evolve it, and then put on Blizzard and Hail.
Yeah, okay, I admit that's my busted tactic. A Leafeon with Snow Cloak, Hail, and Blizzard, I'm killing something. I sweep teams with that strategy. And that Glaceon is known as Snowy, Fluffy's partner.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, my Flareon, they're all named Fluffy, and that's kind of where my name's coming from.
Yeah, this Fluffy started as sort of like my nickname for her, from her nicknaming her Flareon's Fluffy.
Just Fluffy.
Also, I just noticed that we're not recording the webcam, we're recording the static. It's a bit too late for that. We're not going to worry about it.
Yeah, oh well.
But, so, her being Fluffy is sort of a, like, nickname from her, Pokemon. It'd be sort of like if I were to be nicknamed, frick. I don't have a good example right off the top of my head.
Don't you usually name your, Lucario, the Lucario amiibo you have, Counter Aura?
Well, that's the only place I use Counter Aura's name, is with that amiibo specifically. I guess a better example would be if I were to go by Sprinkles or Sparks. Because, you know, those are consistent characters that I use all the time, except for when I don't.
That's usually what we use for +1 mana.
Yep. And so imagine if I just went by Sprinkles all the time.
I'd be giggling. I'd be Cupcake.
You would still be Fluffy.
Yeah, for boring. Yeah, every single Flareon I've ever had, even my Build-A-Bear Flareon, on the birth certificate, it says Fluffy on it. Every Flareon I have in-game that I can nickname, they're nicknamed Fluffy, and even if I can't nickname them, I still call them Fluffy. I don't know why I did that either, because the first Flareon I ever had was a female named Rusty. And then another one, when I have them females, they're usually Fire Rose, but I don't know where the name Fluffy came from. All that I
Probably because Flareons are fluffy.
Yeah, probably. This happened like way back when, like 2016, probably earlier than that, when I grew an affection to Flareon. But for a while, my favorite evolution in Pokemon was Leafeon, the first Pokemon I ever got to level 100. Then afterwards, followed my Mega Lopunny in Omega Ruby. And with level 100 Leafeon and level 100 Lopunny, I swept the Elite Four on rematches when their mons were level 70 with just those two mons.
I mean, to be fair, when you have a level 100, the only things that can beat you are level like 90 and up.
Yeah, but you also have to realize I'm facing the Elite Four with just two mons with not much type coverage. It's a normal and a grass type. Albeit I had Shadow Ball, Ice Beam, high Jump Kick, and I forgot what other move I had on my Lopunny. I know I had Leaf Blade on my Leafeon. Both female, both were my team record, and I still technically have both in Pokemon X.
Yeah.
And both I raised up from level 1.
Nice.
I didn't hatch him in
that's a
game.
rough
I got
one.
him through trade. In the Leafeon with an accident, actually. I was actually planning to evolve into a Sylveon, so I got up the affection, leveled it up in Petalburg Woods, not knowing, and then all of a sudden I got a Leafeon. It's like, I may as well. And it's like, oh my god, this thing's a fucking monster.
You check your EV and you go, what the fuck?
Yeah. Yeah, I love my Leafeon. I wouldn't trade her for the world. She's actually still in my Pokemon X file.
Sort of like how my Pokemon Y file has just Pokemon Y file. Did I say that right?
Yeah.
I feel like that sounds weird.
Your file.
My Pokemon Y file. Why does that sound weird?
I don't know.
Anyways, in that game, I have all my Pokemon that are from all the way back from Fire Red and Emerald all the way up. The Pokemon that I used to keep in Diamond are up there. And so I have some Pokemon that are Fluffies. I have some Pokemon that are Burnsies. All in this Pokemon Y file.
Rapid Gold.
Pokemon Y file. I cannot stop saying that because it sounds so weird. But, like, Pokemon from her, Pokemon from, like, my cousin, Pokemon from way back when I was, like, friggin' little mini kid. Little kid running around, doesn't know what they're doing, but hey, Pokemon! And it's kind of weird because, like, I mentioned this to Fluffy a few times. Part of the reason why I was excited to get Sword and Shield was because I sort of took it as an opportunity to play a lot of the old Pokemon games, kind of learn some of the newer stuff, and kind of build my way up. That was part of the reason why the lack of the Pokemon being in the game really hit me harder than it hit her. It's because part of the reason why I got back into Pokemon was to move Pokemon all the way up from Diamond and Emerald all the way through the generations up to Sword and Shield and beyond. Especially with how you don't know how Pokemon Bank's going to be in Pokemon Home.
Yeah, Pokemon Home isn't that bad. I like it, but I also
You have to pay for it, and that's what people hate about it.
Yep, I bought it. I bought it because it's like I've got a shiny Wigglytuff that I actually got. I got a funny story about a shiny Wigglytuff I have. I was playing the Pokemon Isle of Armor DLC, and I was just having some fun with it. And I was like, you know what? I'm gonna get my whole team to level 80, and I know my team consisted of a Glaceon, a Flareon, and a Lycanroc. I remember those three in particular.
I feel like if anyone is actually listening to this, they probably would get a lot of whiplash from the fact that I'd be talking about a concept or a subject, and then you just go right into another, and then I go into right into another. Like, literally, I was talking about, like, moving up Pokemon, and then you're like, hey, Wigglytuff!
Well, my Wigglytuff is in Pokemon Home.
Right. And that's sort of my issue right now, is that all my Pokemon are in Pokemon Y, and I don't want to move them up until we have one game, and I repeat, one game where I can move all my Pokemon up into for in case something happens with Pokemon Home or Pokemon Bank. I don't keep my Pokemon in Pokemon Bank because I don't trust it. Because it is a paid service. I'm not too big of a fan of a paid service where you have to keep your Pokemon, and if you don't pay, you don't have access to them. It's kind of sketchy to me. Voice crack. I'm not sure, I know that you don't think the same thing, but that's sort of my view on it. It's just a sketchy sort of thing for them to do. And it's sort of why I don't have Pokemon Home and why I haven't transferred my Pokemon up from Pokemon Y or before. I have them up to Y. But that's just me. What's it doing?
I was on Facebook for a second, I'm sorry.
You shouldn't do that.
Sorry.
It's okay. Poke.
I just think it's funny, right before the DLC dropped for Crown Tundra, I get a shiny Wigglytuff. This is my first Gen 8 shiny. I've gotten a shiny in most generations I played, except for Gen 3, but even then I haven't had much on top.
Oh, I have a story that's going to piss off everyone that likes Pokemon shinies. And you know this.
Shiny and Soul Silver.
Well, you know this story. You know why people are going to be pissed.
Yep.
In Pokemon Diamond, when I was a little kid who was dumb and didn't know anything, I somehow figured out how to do the one radar trick where you find a shiny by doing the radar, going to the Pokemon, and all that stuff. I had found shinies, looked at it and went, hey, that looks cool, and then killed it. And I did this multiple times To the point where I look back and go, why didn't I catch these? And I think it was just because I didn't really think about how rare they were, because I was able to do that Pokeradar thing consistently, which from my knowledge and from what you've told me is something that people can't do consistently and people find actually very hard to do. I'm not sure how I was able to use it, but I specifically remember it because I remember the one shiny Pokemon that I ran into more than once was shiny Wingull. And I only remember it because, hey, Wingull with green stripe, that's cool, I like green. And hey, you get some redemption from that because I know you hate Pelipper.
I got a story about hating Pelipper.
You may as well tell it because I brought it up.
I was doing my first ever Nuzlocke type thing, a Wonderlock in Pokemon Moon. Or I thought it was one of the two. And I had a Lucario I was about to take into the Ghost Trial because I needed its Bullet Punch to be able to take down the Mimikyu. And I was getting my encounter, and the motherfucking Pelipper took out my goddamn Lucario. And I damn near lost the whole lock. I lost better than half my team to that Mimikyu, but I needed that steel typing because I had no steel type, so I was pissed.
Well.
And then afterwards, that Pelipper kept screwing up my team, and I was furious for the rest of the game.
See, my sort of distaste for Pelipper isn't like as deep-rooted as yours. Mine is just more of a jokey kind of, God dang it, Pelipper, stop bringing me mail. Gets broom and starts waving at him.
Some people call it a toilet bird, and I agree it's a toilet bird.
I don't think of it like that. I just think, big bird that like brings mail, and I like to make that joke.
Yes.
Which, that joke in itself kind of comes from Mystery Dungeon, which you don't play.
I've
tried it.
I've tried it.
Yeah.
3 times. The only reason I would ever really like to play the Mystery Dungeon games is because I can play as an Eevee. I love
You
it.
can.
I know. I have XD Rescue Team.
Rescue Team DX.
I almost had it. I always get the D and the X backwards.
It's because usually when those are used together, people do XD instead of DX.
Yeah, I played it for a little bit. I've got a Bulbasaur named Cole, and then there's an Eevee named after me.
Fluffy! It's so fluffy!
It's so fluffy!
I tried to get into the Mystery Dungeon series because by the time that Rescue Team DX came out, I was already pretty deep into the series. And because of how Sword and Shield really made me lose interest in the main games, I went back to playing the original Rescue Team and Explore the Sky, and that reignited my love for the Mystery Dungeon games, which I already...
Actually, Kyle, there is a story I played when I played, it was one of the Pokemon Mystery Dungeon games. I don't know if it was Rescue Team or not, but I kept getting stuck on this one part.
What part was it?
I don't remember which game it was, but it was like...
Well,
I was going up to fight Entei, I think. In one of the games, I remember I was going up to go fight Entei, but I kept struggling to get through the area. But I also realized now it's probably because I had a Chikorita.
Was this on 3DS?
No.
No? On the DS?
I think so, yeah.
Because the
I had
only
a
time...
Riolu and a Chikorita. I'm trying to remember which one it was, because I know I had a Chikorita on my team.
See, because Entei is not like that would have been in the post game if it was anything other than like I think Super Mystery Dungeon.
Oh yeah, I think it was Super Mystery Dungeon.
Okay, that's on the 3DS.
Yeah, no, I'm trying to remember which one it was. I tried to really get into it, but it's like, eh.
To be fair, I started playing Super Mystery Dungeon recently, and I didn't know about this story of you getting stuck on Entei. But I actually got to Entei and got stuck for a while too, because that is actually a really hard section.
Yeah, I just got furious and quit.
To be fair, even if you have one of those save tablet things and save right before going in, you have to first beat all the friggin' whatever the fire Pokemon were at that point.
I think they were like Magmar and shit.
Yeah, which means that would be super because that is right. And then you have to go in and fight Entei. No matter what, you're supposed to lose the first time through. And so it drains all your revives. And then, spoiler, you get randomly evolved with your partner. And then you have to beat Entei this time. The problem is now you don't have any reviver seats. And a lot. You don't have your looplet things if you're using a looplet, meaning that if you were overpowered because of items, now you're super underleveled and like beating Entei is sort of an impossible task. It took me like 20 tries or something to get through this battle because I kept dying on the part after evolving, which, oh boy, that was rough.
Pet the kitty.
If anyone's wondering, I'm still trying to get through Super Mystery Dungeon, and in my opinion, it's not a bad game so far, but also I haven't beaten it yet, and I can see why some people have a problem with it.
Is it a Super Mystery Dungeon or it's Mystery Dungeon Gates to Infinity?
They're both
a Super Mystery Dungeon for me, though.
They're both 3DS games, and I haven't played Gates to Infinity. I still need to play that one at some point too, and see if it's really as bad as people say.
I never got into the Mystery Dungeon after I was so pissed off at Entei.
To be fair, Super Mystery Dungeon and Gates to Infinity are both not considered to be great mystery dungeons. Again, I'm still playing through Super, and I do want to give Gates a chance as well. But most people love Explorers and distastefully hate Gates to Infinity, to where Super is sort of forgotten about in some cases. So you not liking Super, you might still like the original two, or at least
I'm still
Explorers.
going to try to get through DX, though. I still need to do that. I'm just getting lazy.
It's alright.
I think that file may only be on my Switch, not my Switch Lite, because I don't have a ton of bills, and I play both. And I play on both because, may as well get myself a Christmas present.
Mm-hmm.
Or, actually, I think my original Switch was a Christmas gift or something.
I don't know.
I'm actually trying to find a second 3DS to play on because it's a pain in the ass trying to trade between two games. When
Didn't I let you borrow one?
No.
Oh.
I just wanted to get a second one for I'm at home. It's the middle of the freaking night and I can't fall asleep. I'm playing Pokemon. It's if I could trade this and evolve it in a different game, because I've had to do this because I have an Eevee and I was trying to evolve it into a Flareon, but I couldn't get a Firestone until damn near late fucking game. Or a lot later on. Probably a few gyms in, if some people would refer it to. I don't know if it's Sun or Moon. And it's no, screw it, I'll trade it to my other game where I can get the Firestone. Because I always use a Flareon. Flareon's my go-to mon. I'm still kind of considering trying to do a solo run of Pokemon Short Sword or Shield with just a Flareon. Or I was considering a 3-mon challenge where I did my 3 favorite evolutions. Flareon, Glaceon, and Leafeon. It's not much type coverage, but at least I wouldn't need to worry about the HNs.
May I make a recommendation?
Crap, what?
Sword and Shield, but only with Bidoof.
No. Don't like the doof. Want a fluffy boy.
But Bidoof is fluffy.
No, I want the fluffy good boy. A fluffy Flareon.
I got another one for you.
What?
Sword and Shield, but only with Eevee. But only one Eevee.
I've watched frickin' Madrybread. He's a YouTuber. I love his YouTube videos.
What's his name?
Madrybread. I think he's a Canadian YouTuber. He does a weekly Pokemon challenge, and he's played through Gens 1, 2, 3, and 4 with just an Eevee. Pokemon Red, Pokemon Gold, Pokemon Emerald or Ruby is one of the two. And
Probably Emerald.
Yeah, probably. And Pokemon Platinum with just an Eevee. He also did the same thing for Pikachu. The Eevee runs look like they're a little harder, though, because Pikachu's got a bit better of a move variety.
What? Actually, my question with that is, what do, runs like that do about, HMs?
He usually just catches an HM slave, but he can only use, say, the Eevee or the Pikachu in battle. That's
Okay.
it. The other mon, they're just HM slaves, and when you hit the Elite Four, those HM slaves go in the box.
I guess that's why Alpharad's video of can you beat Pokemon Emerald with only Mudkip kind of is a bit better, because he uses Mudkip for literally everything.
Yep.
And the only reason the run is a bit wonky is because no matter what in Emerald, you are given a cast form, but he chooses not to use it except for in the gym that requires you to use doubles. And that cast form dies immediately after, during the battle anyways.
Yep. When I see him forced to do double battles, he just catches a level 5 Magikarp.
Should use the cast form. You should have cast form by that point.
No, this is like Gens 1, 2, and then Gen 4.
Gen 3 is the one that introduced double battles.
Yeah, no.
If it's Fire Red and
Well,
or
he
Leaf
also wanted
Green,
just to find he just wanted to find an excuse to waste his Master Ball.
if you're gonna waste your Master Ball, just waste it on something that's not so overly done about catching useless things with the Master Ball. Magikarp's overdone. Catch something like a Baneri with a Master Ball, or even better yet, you gotta catch like a Rattata with a Master Ball.
Yeah, like it's color coordinated.
I didn't even think about that side of it.
Yep.
But like Magikarp is overdone.
Yeah. But I've also seen this Madry Bread playthrough, I think with like Fire Red with only a Magikarp. With items, though. He admitted he had to use items. He had to use like several X attacks.
To be fair though, items are not ever disallowed in can you beat this game with only this Pokemon type runs.
But most people who I've seen play with no items in battle.
Alpharad uses all the items.
Yep.
I don't know. Maybe that's just because I don't watch too many of these types of things. Again, Alpharad's one I only really did because there was an animation and the animation was funny.
Yeah, I watch Madry Bread because it's fun to have his videos on when I'm playing my own Pokemon. Also, I'm probably going to be trying out Pokemon Snap some more tonight. I actually managed to just get the game today.
Yep, and I showed her some cute photos and some funny photos from my playthrough. That was my last game that I played before having to take a month off from literally everything happening at once.
I booped your cat.
Yeah, I noticed.
Oh, did you kitty?
But like,
Still gonna follow the attention. Be purring.
I guess I may as well mention on here, even though this would be long after, I kind of had to take a month off because there was all sorts of stuff happening in outside of like streaming and gaming that I really couldn't do much with. So, you know about, I mentioned the fact that I was having an ant problem in my kitchen. You want to know how bad it was?
How bad?
So, one day I go into the kitchen, get food ready to eat for breakfast, and like there's like a swarm of ants around where I have the wet cat food. So I had to sort of spray Windex over all these ants and clean the bowls, put the bowls into the bathroom. For a minute, even with all this Windexing and like just killing ants and moving stuff, there was still a big amount of them like in the area between my kitchen and the laundry room. So after a while that sort of lowers, but then now there were ants all over the bathroom floor. So I had to do the same thing, kill the ants, move the food, all that stuff. And then again they appeared on the kitchen floor, but then after a minute they seemed to stop appearing and it seemed fine. So once there were much less ants, I thought it was all fine. And then on one Monday, after the night before putting some stuff into the cupboard, I opened the cupboard to get some stuff ready for my lunch, and there were swarms of ants over everything up there.
Ew.
Yeah, so, you know, up in the cupboards I kept things like the caramel popcorn, peanut butter, candy, and I'm sure that any one of those could have been part of it. It was so bad that I sprayed Windex on some of the food items on there and just tossed out stuff because there was no way I was recovering like any of it.
Ouch.
Yeah, and that was sort of why I washed all of my glasses the next weekend, which was the weekend that you couldn't come because of your schedule being flipped.
Yeah, my bridesmaid stuff. I had bridesmaids.
No, this is the week before that.
Oh.
The weekend before that. Because the weekend before that was the one where all the stuff was...
Sorry.
It's alright, I'm just... Like, that's going to be on the recording.
And I care why.
Because...
I like cats. I don't care what people think.
True. But basically, after I had taken everything out of the cupboards, thrown away all the food that was up there, and Windexed 1,000 times, it seemed a little bit okay. And then on my counter over here, you know how I have those 3 jar things?
Yeah.
So, those have not really been messed with much since my parents moved out back in 2018, like a few years ago. And so, randomly, I started noticing ants on that counter, and I was like, let me check. And one of the jars had ants all in it with like a old like powdered sugar that was so densely together that it came out into the trash in one block.
Oh God.
So I had to clean that and also had to clean out my toaster oven because there were some in there too. And again, I had to like wash everything from the glasses to the bowls to just all of that stuff. And after I did that, it finally seems like the ants are calmed down because, yeah, they're no longer all over the place, as you can tell. But that's also probably because I have all of my food in the fridge. KJ's cat food has always been sort of in its own thing, but I'm making sure not to overfill it too much. And yeah, it seems a lot better, but who knows? For all I know, they could be hiding in another spot that I open one day and they just start pouring out.
Oh my God.
That wasn't the only issue I had, but that was one of the main reasons why I was having troubles with streaming. Another one was because of the fact that I had to clean all those dishes, which, you know, that took me like a couple hours to do because I have, like, I don't know if you remember how many glasses were up there, but there was so many that I decided, hey, I'm just going to pack a lot of these into boxes after washing them and bring them to my parents. So now it's actually a bit more better organized up there, so that's a good thing.
Nice.
Yep.
How often do you actually use glass dishes? Because I know you primarily use paper.
I don't use them a lot. I'm probably going to use them more because I think part of the reason why I didn't use them was because it was so compact up in there that I felt like if I were to take a glass out, they would all start pouring out onto me.
Ouch.
Yeah. Now it's not going to do that, so I might use glasses more, but who knows? We'll see.
Yeah, we were talking about Pokemon. And then we talked about your ants and shit. What else did we want to talk about?
There's a Pokemon ant.
That's Durant.
I know. We don't need to talk anything else. We could just end the recording. We're an hour and 42 in recording. I'm not sure how much time that will be after editing because I'm probably going to cut down some sections where me and you just either aren't talking or where we're rambling about something that doesn't even really need to be on the stream.
Like this?
Some of it. So, may as well end here. Hope that the first episode of whatever this is going to be called doesn't make people go, nope, not going to watch this ever again. But yeah, that's about all I got. You got anything you want to say to the audience of probably 3 people?
Peace, love, and fluffy plushes, everyone.
And everyone have a great day. Oh, that is not the right button.